The rolled screen surface needs to be acclimated to the room for 48 hours prior to installation. It is not necessary to open the crate, and the hardware does not need to be removed. Not recommended for high humidity locations. Prepare a clean working area with padded or soft clean materials in the space where the screen will be assembled on the floor. Be sure to wear the provided gloves anytime the screen surface is being handled. Using 4 people, unroll the screen. Start by placing the end of the roll nearest to the floor. While maintaining slight pressure, cut each piece of tape. The screen surface can now be unrolled. This should be done gently and in a measured pace to prevent damage to the surface. Carefully guide the screen surface when unrolling, particularly on the last wrap, to prevent the surface from springing out or scraping itself. The audience side of the screen surface will be face down after it has been unrolled. Do not step on the screen surface or place objects on the screen surface during this step or during installation. Allow the screen surface to remain in this flat, unrolled state for at least 4 hours prior to hanging for the surface to fully adjust to room temperature. While the screen is resting, install the T-tracks into the wall. Measure 2.5 inches from the side of your wall opening to locate the end of the first T-track piece. Using one of the 4-inch pieces of trim, snap the trim into place on one end of the T-track. Place the T-track in the opening and slide until the lower portion of the trim is against the wall. Secure that end of the track with a number 10 screw in the hole closest to the end. Ensure the screw head is inserted completely and does not extend into the T-track channel. This will allow the tensioning assemblies to slide through the channel when attaching the screen surface to the wall opening. Using the other 4-inch piece of trim as a guide, secure the opposite end of the T-track. Slide the 4-inch trim pieces along the track to align the other positions and attach a number 10 screw into the hole openings until completed. If the opening is not level on all 4 sides, the T-track will need to be shimmed in order to ensure the screen trim is level once attached to the T-track. For the top and bottom sections, use the trim to overlap at the seams as a guide to ensure that both T-track pieces are flush with each other. Repeat the process until all T-track sections are installed in the wall opening. Mount the first lifting bracket in the top section of the wall opening behind the T-track. Measure 2 1/8 inches from the back of the T-track to the back edge of the lifting bracket and 1/2 inch from the edge of the opening to position the bracket correctly. Use 1/4 inch by 1 inch lag screws to attach the bracket parallel to the T-track. Put the second lifting bracket at the opposite corner. Position the third lifting bracket in the center of the top section of the wall opening. Check that these brackets are secure. After completing this step, do not proceed until the screen surface has remained in a flat, unrolled state for at least 4 hours. Peel back the protective paper approximately 3/4 inch on the top and the bottom of the screen. Do not remove the protective paper completely. The provided gloves should be worn at this time in order to prevent damage to the screen surface and to provide grip while lifting. Center the first rubber gasket on the screen surface edge and press it into place starting at one end. Repeat this step for the 3 remaining sides of the screen. Place the frame sections around the screen surface. Attach the frame over the rubber gasket with set screws facing upwards. Use a rubber mallet to gently tap the screen frame into place if needed. Place the hoisting bracket in the center of the top and bottom sections of the frame. Attach using the cap screws and a 3/16-inch hex key. Starting from the center of each side, tighten all set screws with a 1/8-inch hex key. Approximately 2 threads should be visible on each set screw when properly tightened. Feed the first rope through the large hole on the left hoisting bracket so the knotted end makes contact with the inside of the bracket. Then, feed the rope through the left lifting bracket that was installed into the wall opening behind the T-track. Do the same for the second rope through the center and the third rope through the right hoisting and lifting brackets. Note, there is no rope in the single bracket on the bottom of the screen. One person will be needed to guide the ropes as the screen is being lifted. The screen must be positioned close to but not touching the wall before lifting. Using all 4 people, carefully lift the screen assembly to a vertical position. Do not allow the screen to twist or bow. Without careful lifting, there is a potential to damage the screen surface. Raise the screen assembly into the wall opening. On the projector side, one person will remain holding all 3 ropes without slack, guiding the screen into place. On the audience side, 2 people will lift the screen vertically, one on each end. These 3 people will coordinate together to lift the screen into place. The 4th person should be on a ladder on the projector side, helping the rope control and lifters guide the screen assembly into place until all 3 hoisting and lifting brackets attach to each other at the top of the wall opening. Be careful not to touch the projection coating on the audience-facing side of the screen assembly along the screen edges. At the end of this step, the screen assembly's weight should be supported by the hoisting and lifting brackets, and it should be centered inside of the wall opening. Gloves can be removed now. Align the T-track and the frame at the top. Insert 8 tensioning assemblies. There will be 4 per frame section for larger screens. Align the tensioning assemblies so they're evenly spaced across the length of the T-track and frame. Tighten a minimum of 2 tensioning assemblies per frame section between the T-track and frame using a 1/2-inch wrench. After 2 or 3 turns on one tensioning assembly, move to another in order to prevent binding. Keep using this alternating method until at least 2 tensioning assemblies per frame section have secured the frame to the T-track on the top section. As the tensioning assemblies are tightened, the screen frame will pull gradually closer to the T-track. Do not tighten fully at this time. Once a minimum of 2 tensioning assemblies per frame section are attached fully and are holding the screen weight on the top side, you can proceed to the next step. Remove the 3 lifting brackets from the wall opening behind the T-track by loosening and removing the 1/4 inch by 1 inch lag screws. The 3 ropes should also be removed at this time. Tighten all tensioning assemblies at the top section of the screen assembly until all 8 are evenly spaced and secure on the top side. Alternate between 2 to 3 turns on one assembly, then moving to another assembly to prevent binding. At the bottom section, align the T-track and the frame. Insert 8 tensioning assemblies, 4 per frame section for larger screens. Align the tensioning assemblies so they are evenly spaced across the length of T-track and frame. Begin tightening the tensioning assemblies between the T-track and frame using a 1/2-inch wrench. After 2 or 3 turns on one tensioning assembly, move to another. Keep using this alternating method until the tensioning assemblies have secured the frame to the T-track. These tensioning assemblies do not need to be tightened down completely because the top frame is already anchoring the screen in place. The bottom needs to be secure enough to the installer's discretion. Continue tightening the tensioning assemblies for the left and right sides of the frame using 4 tensioning assemblies per frame section. Assemble the 6 provided trim pieces. The 2 top pieces will be labeled A at the 45-degree overlap, and the 2 bottom pieces will be labeled B. The remaining 2 pieces are for the sides and are interchangeable. Starting at the audience side bottom right corner, align the first piece of bottom trim with the bottom edge of the screen. The end should be approximately 3 inches from the corner of the wall opening. When aligned, snap the trim onto the T-track while moving along the length of the piece until firmly in place. Align the second bottom piece of trim at the 45-degree overlap and snap onto the T-track while moving along the length of the piece until firmly in place. Starting at the audience side bottom left corner, align a side piece of trim with the side edge of the screen. The end should be approximately 3 inches up from the corner of the wall opening. When aligned, snap the trim onto the T-track while moving along the length of the piece until firmly in place. Repeat for the top trim pieces and the audience right trim piece. Place corner covers on each corner to check fit and alignment. Adjust trim if necessary. When satisfied with desired placement of all 4 corner covers, peel the red release liners and firmly press each corner cover into place. Carefully remove the protective paper on the projector side of the screen surface to complete the installation.